Well, good morning from a finally sunny day in London. This is actually the last sunny day for at least a week, so I am making the most of it. This is a Leica Q343. Long-time viewers of the channel would remember that I purchased it just over a year ago, used it for about 8-9 months, thought it was okay, and then sold it because I preferred the Sony. So why did I get this camera again? Well, the primary reason is that I sell a camera guide for it that I put together for all cameras that I own. And about 3 weeks ago, a few people emailed me and said, did you see the update, the 4.0 update, which has pretty much made this a brand new camera and fixed most of the issues with it. Now, in any good conscience, it's too early for this, in any good spirit, I don't think it's right to keep selling a product which is no longer compatible. So I bought another Q343, I updated it to version 4.0, and over the last week and a half I've been shooting with it. And in this video I will share with you an update on my opinions, thoughts on this new firmware and whether it's fixed the issues that I had with it. So join me on this lovely winter's day in London, shoot some photos on the Q343 and give you an update. Quick one, if you have already purchased the camera guide, you will get a free update when it comes out for version 4.0. God, what a lovely day, isn't it? As with all gear videos, it's time for a quick disclaimer. I purchased this Q3 as well as my first one with my own money. I have no connection to Leica, nor is it in my interest to sell their products. So everything I'm sharing with you is based on my personal experience. I also don't particularly care about the heritage or the history of camera brands, so I'm looking at this as a tool and not as a piece of history or heritage or anything like that. So keep that in mind as you watch this video. Let's start with the positives, and by far the biggest change is how quickly this camera switches on. In the original video I said that the fact it took the Q3 half a century to switch on was one of my biggest annoyances with the camera, but that has been fixed and it's pretty much as quick as my Sony right now, so I can safely switch it off and know that if I need to switch it on to get a shot, I will not be waiting for 10 years. So well done Leica, that is a huge quality of life improvement. The second most noticeable improvement is the autofocus, and that can be split into 3 parts. The first one is AFS, single autofocus. Now that is basically where you just press and focus and it just focuses once and locks. That has improved a little bit, there's definitely a difference, but it's not as substantial as the AFC, which is the continuous autofocus. That, in my opinion, has seen the biggest improvement. Previously it would always hunt and it would be extremely unreliable to the point where I didn't use it at all. Now I use it by default. So the camera is currently set to AFC with a zone, so a slightly larger area where the camera can focus, and then I will use the AL button if I want to lock something. Honestly, that alone probably warrants the upgrade to 4.0 for many people, especially if you rely on autofocus. That has been improved drastically. And the third aspect is the tracking. So this has a tracking feature, which is honestly now really good. It was quite sticky before, but the camera just never kept up. Whereas now, not only does it keep up, not only is it sticky, but it also adjusts the square for the subject that you're tracking. What this means is that you have an AF system which is finally more than usable. It's actually really good, and many people, unless you're really pushing the AF to the limit with wildlife photography or anything like that, So that's a nice tree. So unless you're really pushing the camera to the extremes, you will have a great time using the system. I am genuinely impressed with how much they've improved on the AF, so well done, Leica. The next welcome change is that the splash screen on the menu is now customizable. When you press the menu button once, before going into the deep menu, you get like a little quick menu with buttons, and before you couldn't customize them, they were stuck. Now you can change them, you can move them around, and that's a very nice feature. The next welcome improvement is an updated L-log profile. So if you're going to be using this for video, the L-log is now much nicer. The previous one, I had some issues color grading it. I just didn't like it that much. I found it a bit tricky. Maybe that's a user error rather than the profile, but the new profile is so much easier to color grade. Obviously, if you don't shoot video, this is pointless for you. But if you do, the L-log is now really good and quite easy to grade. So all the footage that you see in this video that is clearly labeled as Leica Q3 has come from this Q3 with the new profile. Excuse the jerkiness, I don't have an ND filter for it at the moment, so the shutter speed had to be cranked quite high in the sun. And the last noticeable improvement is the overall simplification and improvement to the UI. Many menu items have been consolidated, the graphics and the design has been updated, and there's a bunch of little like quality of life improvements that you'll see throughout the camera. Too long to mention in this video, but just so you know that overall the UI and the kind of user experience and the simplification and everything of how you interact with it has been greatly improved. So that's very nice. Now, while there are many welcome improvements, there are a few things which are still not so positive. The autofocus, I know I was praising it, however, it still gives you false positives. What I mean by that is, you go to focus on something, the camera tries to acquire focus, for whatever reason, maybe it can't or it's a bit too slow, and it'll just focus on whatever it wants, and it's clearly out of focus, but it tells you it's in focus with a green square. And then you think you're in focus, but it's clearly not in focus, and it still lets you take the photo. It would be nice if you can do it like you can in a Sony or a Fuji, where you can tell it to not take the photo unless it's 100% in focus. But yeah, doesn't happen very often, but happens often enough where it's something that I've picked up. The next thing which I wish they would have sorted out is how the crop modes are presented. So at the moment you have the frame lines that you've always had, but I just wish they gave you an option to at least crop in. So if you're at 43, you press a button to crop into 60, rather than seeing the frame line, it actually crops into that focal length or into that crop. Again, some people would prefer the frame lines, but for me, and I'm sure for many others, it's very distracting, and I would rather just have a punched in, oh god, that sun's so bright, I'd rather just have it punched in view rather than a dotted line to add more kind of visual distractions to the screen. The next annoyance with the Q3 that I really hoped would have been sorted with this update is the fact that you can't separate the photo controls from the video ones. So if I'm shooting everything automatic, as I'm doing right now, the moment I switch over into video, it's automatic. If I then switch the camera into, let's say, 1/30th shutter speed so that I can get the correct amount of motion blur for the video, I then switch back to the photo and it's in 1/30th shutter speed. Fujifilm has a really good way of sorting this out, so you can separate it so that the physical controls are for photography and the video controls are done via software. This is a very easy thing to do. I'm not sure why Leica hasn't done it, especially on this camera, which is aimed to be a hybrid, or at least it's advertised in such a way. If that comes in version 5 or 4.1 or 4.2 or whatever software version that is, that would be a huge and welcome change, please. And the last annoyance on the Q3, which I really hope gets sorted out, is that in video mode you don't have any way to lock the exposure and the focus. So in photography you have AEL, AFL, which as you know, locks everything. But in video, for some reason, you don't have that. So you can't physically lock the exposure, and the only way to do it is to shoot in full manual, which is, again, very time consuming because you have to fiddle with the dials. Now, the photography mode has AEL and AFL. Why is that not added to video? I don't know. And while on that subject, white balance, that also should be with a lock feature like all the other cameras, including an iPhone. So I really hope that this gets added, because it's such an oversight from a video perspective. Because if you have the AEL, AFL, and a way to separate the video and the photo controls, you have probably one of the best, the most efficient hybrid cameras with a fixed lens on the market, in my opinion. It has so much potential, but it's really let down with a lack of these two fundamental features, in my opinion. So with everything I've just mentioned, what is my overall summary of this update and the camera itself? Well, for sure, this update has greatly improved the usability of the Q3. It feels more like a new operating system than it does a small firmware update. It's also given me and many other Leica users confidence that, you know, this will be updated for many years, and their insanely huge investment into the system is not going to go, not to waste, but it's going to be rewarded with new features and new things as time goes on. It has definitely improved the usability of this camera, in my opinion. It's definitely improved the overall feel and performance, to the point where if you were on the fence about getting the Q3, but the autofocus concerns and the general kind of responsiveness of the camera was an issue, this is no longer an issue, I believe. So if you were in the market for a Leica, then this update is definitely helpful. Obviously, you still get the insane build quality, all-day battery life, amazing lens, and all of the other positives that Leica is known for. So overall, this is definitely a big improvement. Now, will I keep it? Will I use it over the Sony or any of that kind of stuff? I'll definitely keep the Q3 now. Primarily because I have the camera guide, so it's only fair, it's only right for me to keep this camera, so that if there's any future updates, I can update the guide. But also as a fun camera to use on the day out, if I'm out with my missus, with my mum, with my friends, this camera is great. Is it going to replace the Sony? Absolutely not. Is it going to become my main photography camera? Definitely not. The Sony a7R5 is still going to be my camera for 99% of all photo and video. But this will be a little weekend fun edition where the Sony's for work and this is for fun. I'd like to say one very important thing though. Even though I've been praising this camera overall in this video, and even though I'm saying that it's now improved, and if you want to get one, it's probably a good time with these improvements, at the same time I am very conscious of the fact that this is a luxury item. You do not need this camera. There are much better cameras for the money on the market. For the amount of money this costs, you can buy a Sony A1, a Sony a7R5. You can buy, there's so many cameras which are technically 1,000 times more capable than this. The only reason you would buy this Leica Q3 is because you have a lot of disposable income, and you would like a Leica. You would like the feel and everything that comes with owning a Leica. Please don't get yourself into difficult financial positions to afford this camera because you think it will do something magical that other cameras can't. That's simply not true. And no matter how polished or presentable the Leica ambassadors will make these cameras, they're getting paid for it. It's in their interest to keep promoting these cameras. So ignore them. They're the last people that you should be taking advice from when it comes to cameras. So by all means, get it if you have the money and if you know what you're getting into, but But don't think for a second that you need to spend such an absurd amount of money on a luxury item to get good photos or to enjoy photography, because you definitely don't. I like this camera, I will keep this camera, but yeah, it's just so unnecessary. It's like having a Ferrari, isn't it? Do you need a Ferrari to drive to work or to go to the shops? Absolutely not. If you enjoy it, more power to you. Do it. Is it worth getting into ridiculous debt for one? Absolutely not. If you have disposable income, crack on. You'll have a great time driving it. It's the same thing. So right now I'm on a little street called Throgmorton Street, and if you come here at this time, which is around 11:30 to 12 o'clock, in winter around January, February, you'll have an amazing view, an amazing light on the Bank of England. Let me show you. Really nice light. We've got the Shard over there. All the people are well dressed here as well, I guess because it's back to the office now. Christmas is over, so people are much better. On very cold days like this, I get into a bad habit of ordering too many coffees, especially lattes, because they really warm me up when it's cold out. If I get a cup of tea, it'll be too hot to drink for at least 20 minutes, whereas with a latte it's good to go straight away. Obviously the only issue is when you've had quite a few of them. Not the best thing for your heart or your caffeine tolerance levels. Last one for the day, because otherwise I'll probably go crazy. Now, Trafalgar Square, where are we? Oh, I've had a couple of people ask me when would I use a wrist strap or when would I use a crossbody strap. The answer is very simple. If photography is a passive thing, so cameras around my neck, I'm walking around, I've got a coffee, I'm going to meet Matt, one of my mates in a minute, then it just hangs like this. But if photography is active, I'm always looking, usually if I'm on my own, it'll be on the wrist strap and I'll be holding the camera in my hand. Because if I'm holding the camera in my hand, I'm always ready to go, and I'm always in that frame of mind. Whereas if the camera's just dangling down by my side, I'm not really in the zone as much. Now I'm okay with not being in the zone because it's the end of the day, the video is filmed, I'm going to meet one of my mates. But yeah, if I had to get some shots right now, then I wouldn't be holding the coffee, I'll be holding the camera with a wrist strap. He's not noticed me yet. Still not noticed me yet. Let's see how long I can follow him before he knows it. Currently shooting with the one and only Matt Hall over there. You would have seen the interview video that I've done with him. If not, I'll link it down below. One of the best photographers that I know. Really nice guy. So yeah, check out the interview with Matt Hall right there, who's found something to shoot by the looks of it. Alright, and that is the end of the day and the end of the video. Matt's gone home, I need to go back, I need to pack, and I am heading to the Canary Islands tonight to go on a cruise with a bunch of old university friends. So for now, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye bye.